Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. It is 8:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this 30th day of March 2021. Tomorrow is our last day of March. Okay, looking at Bitcoin's chart now. Honestly, I don't remember if I wrote about this or if I did a recording on this. I think a little bit of both. But Bitcoin has this kind of actually looks a little bit like the pound yen's chart right now. But looking at the daily chart for Bitcoin, what I talked about yesterday was this rising wedge, which is, I wrote about this, which is a very powerful bearish pattern. I mean, out of all of the patterns that exist in technical analysis, as far as triangles and rectangles, flags and pennants, the one that is the most powerful for a short trade is a rising wedge, whereas a falling wedge is the bullish inverse. So a rising wedge, it's actually one of the, in my own trading, it's actually one of the only patterns that I look for, and I look specifically for it because it has such a high positive expectancy rate. And what I mean by that is a rising wedge has a very, very, very high likelihood of turning into a profitable trade. So we've seen Bitcoin drop below it, and then it's excuse me, then it's traded up, and it's retested the upper trend line. What I wrote about yesterday is be prepared to short it if it fails to move back into the wedge. But it has moved back into it. Now we've started off on a new daily candle. What we need to look for now is this to hold. Okay. So I think you need to be very careful of this and just kind of continuing a little bit on what I talked about yesterday with this pattern is, look for a sell stop below 54,775. All right. Look for a sell stop there if price comes back down. Now, as bearish and as highly likely as these patterns are to turn out to be very profitable short setups, there is an off chance that you get the trade lower and then the retest. And for a lot of conservative people who like to trade these patterns, a lot of old school traders only trade the retest, meaning price broke down below the pattern, and what they wait for is something called confirmation, which means they want to see people retest the break to see if it's an honest break. And if traders fail to move back up into the pattern, then that's when the short occurs. To me, this is still testing. But then what you can have happen is you have a lot of people who end up short. And then it starts to move back into the pattern, starts to move back up, it breaks this high. If Bitcoin breaks this high and breaks out of the rising wedge, that is a huge bear trap, and there will be fireworks. This thing will explode higher. So watch for any close that is above any new all-time high that gets formed. Right now, that's at 61,769. Watch out for a move above that, okay? Because if that occurs, we'll more than likely see this push up to 70 to 72K. But we could see it range trade back inside the wedge. Just be very, very careful. On the short setup, we don't have long to wait. But on the long side of it, it's pretty evenly distributed, isn't it? Here's where we're at. Yeah, it's almost split the same distance. So just be careful of the short side of the market right now, but also be aware that there is a long opportunity coming up too. Fundamentally, Bitcoin is getting a lot of traction in the investment community as a store of value and as a probable hedge against inflation. So be aware of that. There's been a ton of outflows from gold, paper gold, that is like ETFs and futures contracts, into spot Bitcoin, like actual Bitcoin, and in to some respects into the futures contracts for Bitcoin as well. But just be very alert, careful of what's going on here. This isn't a powerful zone. No matter which direction it goes, it's going to be a huge move. There's a lot of money to be made on both sides of the market, and when the market decides which way it's going to go, either way, how this is set up with this current pattern, it's going to be a major bear trap, or it's going to be a major short opportunity based on one of the on the most bearish chart pattern that you can find, single geometrical pattern. So I'll leave it at that, short and sweet. Again, on the short side of it, look for any close below at 54,700 ish, and then look for any close above for the bullish case that is really a new all-time high. Or if you want to wait, you could wait till it breaks above the upper trend line. But just keep an eye on it. Watch this market because it could whipsaw you pretty fast. We're Exchange Rates UK TV. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.